Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that is going to give you my honest review and opinion of all the plants that I grew this year. And it's going to tell you which ones I will not waste my time growing again. And which ones I will make sure that I definitely grow again because I like them a lot. So just sit back and take notes because I'm going to show you all kinds of examples of the crops. And I'm going to describe their flavors and the reason I don't like them so that you're going to know exactly what you shouldn't plant next year, and maybe what you do want to plant, but most importantly, what you don't want to waste your time on, okay? Before we get into the video, guys, put it into the comments. What are some things you are not gonna grow again next year? But then what are some things you will grow again? Give us all specific varieties so that we can try things out. That's what it's all about. Put them in the comments and then read the comments, what other people are saying, and don't be afraid to try it out. So let's get into it. So first thing we're going to talk about is the onions, okay? I've planted several different kinds of onions over the years. Australian brown, New York early, Wethersfield red, several others. My favorite above all is the yellow of Parma, guys, for the white or for the yellow onions. The yellow of Parma, it stores, look at how crisp. I mean, it's rock solid, full of those sulfuric compounds. You cut into them and they makes your eyes water. And they store all winter long. I had some of these last until this crop. I mean, I just got rid of them a couple of weeks ago. And so they store really well. Yellow of Parma. Now here was a surpriser, guys. The Rosa de Milano onions. These things were last minute. They were suggested to me and I absolutely love them. I was growing the Wethersfield red, but these Rosa de Milanos are far and beyond my favorite red onion ever. My favorite onion ever, period. And they produce these nice little, I like ones this size. This is even a little bit too big because you got to use it all in one dish. So for me, this is like too big. I'm going to use that for like a broth, you know, making bone broth. But I love the sweetness of the flavor and you can eat these raw. Highly recommend. I will definitely be growing these again next year without any doubt. They're my favorite now. As far as green onions go, definitely I'm going to be growing the king green onion again. Look how nice and thick and succulent that this thing is. Now, I could be deceitful and say, oh, this is because of electroculture. Look how big it is. Or because this is because of Viking fertilizer. But no, that's not true. It's just genetics. So long as they have everything they need, the king green onions will all grow. This is actually small for a king green. They get much bigger than this. But they're full of flavor. And so they don't get fibrous or woody or any of that kind of stuff like some of the other green onions. So I will definitely be growing the king green onions again. Without any doubt, the Vates collards, guys, the Vates collards greens. Now, yes, there's a little bit of pest damage on this, but man, we don't spray these with anything. I didn't have to spray anything on these plants this year except for the guano bloom fertilizer and the aerated compost teas. That's it. And they can defend themselves for the most part. So these are delicious and they never got any powdery mildew. The Georgia Southern collards every year at this time ended up getting powdery mildew. These I've yet to see a single spot of powdery mildew, and I got huge amounts of plants out there. Super delicious, super buttery, as nutritious as kale, except way more delicious. So highly recommend you watch my video about how to prepare the collard greens. Again, another green is going to be the Vulcan Swiss chard. Now, this plant is so gorgeous that you could plant it just for ornamental capabilities. But look, this is not from a cabbage worm or anything like that. The goldfinches, for some reason, every year the goldfinches come, you know, those little yellow birds, and they sit on top of it and they eat this. Just the Swiss chard. They just love the Swiss chard. So I plant it for them, and every year they come and just sit on top of it and eat it. But it's also a wonderful spinach substitute. Look how gorgeous that thing is. Yes, it's in the beet family, so you're probably thinking, well, that looks familiar. Or some people think it looks like rhubarb. It doesn't taste anything like it. Definitely every year I plant at least one of these Swiss chard. Very good. You can eat this raw. It's very much like spinach. Next thing I'll definitely be planting every year is the Komatsuna. See, we got a little bit of pest damage, but that's all right, guys. We haven't sprayed anything on these crops. So except for some BT, some Bacillus thuringiensis, yes. But that is a very natural thing. So the Komatsuna is very buttery, very delicious for stir fries, for hot pots, for fermenting. I just love it. And it's the most cold hardy of the greens that I found. I mean, this thing will keep growing until the days never get above freezing. I mean, it is very, very hardy. Another green I'm absolutely growing is the Chinese giant red mustard from Baker Creek. Yes, this is a small leaf actually. They get much bigger than this. Very fiery, very peppery flavor. But when you cook it, the fire kind of goes away and it adds a really buttery sort of depth to whatever you're making it with. All kinds of things that we do this with. You can even just throw it right on the hot skillet, on the hot griddle like that and sear it. It's super delicious. Highly recommend this one. Nice, big, beautiful plant. Now here's another green. This is called Yod Fa, and every part of the plant is edible. So there's big leaves of the plant that are about this big, yes, and that's all edible as well. But what I really like about the Yod Fa is these sort of broccolini, these florets, you see, and they just get bigger and bigger. And so you can cut them like this and just saute the whole thing in the wok or whatever it is, and they taste just like broccoli. They're not a broccoli, but they're very delicious and very easy to grow. They grow really well in the heat. They're like from Thailand is where they originate. So a wonderful green that I will always be growing during the summertime because all the other greens want to bolt. These don't necessarily bolt. They just do their thing. Okay, now for some peppers, guys. Now, the first one was very disappointing. This is a Lesia pepper, and according to the seed packet, it's the sweetest of all peppers known. Not in my experience. I've got several of these peppers in different locations. I have different garden projects going on all over the place, and none of them were very sweet. They're really thick fleshed, so you could juice them, and they were good. I mean, they weren't bad. They're not the sweetest pepper of all time, that's for sure. So they produce quite a few. Each one produces, at least a dozen of these big. It's heavy, so they're pretty cool. But the Jimmy Nardello is the sweetest pepper that I've tried. I mean, it is much sweeter than this one that's claimed to be the sweetest in the world, the Lesia. But this one, Jimmy Nardello, someone sent these to me, and I wasn't even going to grow them, but I ended up growing the seeds, and they are sugary sweet. It literally tastes like a fruit, the Jimmy Nardello pepper. So I will be growing this every year for sure. I just pick them, throw it right onto the hot skillet until it blisters like that. A minute on each side. That's about it. I do the same with these, but there's just not the flavor. These just don't have the flavor that the Jimmy Nardellos do. Now another one, this is the Etienne or Etude from Baker Creek. It's a Polish variety. Now this was very late to mature. They just started maturing like 2 weeks ago, okay? But if you wait for it to get nice and mature like this, orange, listen. They're nice and thick, and they're very sweet. These are delicious. I will probably grow these again because I love the color. So I think we'll definitely grow these again for our orange pepper because I love to have the color, because the eyes like to eat as well. Remember that. And so having the orange in combination with the reds and stuff makes it just look really inviting and delicious. This is the sweetest orange pepper that I found. Even better than, these are a hybrid that I got from like Lowe's. These are called Lunchbox Orange. Now they're really small peppers, but they're meant for like snacking, So they're sweet. Yeah, they're pretty good. But they're just too small because I like to do things with them. I don't just necessarily eat by the individual thing, these peppers, they're too small to like de-seed them and get all the seeds out and stuff. It's kind of like a waste of time for me when this thing, look how much more rewarding this is when you're having to cut it open, take the seeds out and stuff. So these are okay. I mean, each plant has like 100 of these or like 50 that just keeps producing these, but they're just so small. They're sweet. They're good though, but I won't be growing those again. I'll definitely be growing these again. Likewise, the Lunchbox Red. So I got the Lunchbox Orange and the Lunchbox Red. Both of them really tiny, really sweet and good, but just too small for my needs. Okay, keeping in line with the peppers now, the fish pepper turned out to be really delicious. The fish pepper was given to me by a friend, a local friend, and I ended up growing the plant out, and these things are really good. They're hot, they're spicy, but they're not like a scorpion pepper or those like Carolina Reapers that are just total insane for me. You can use these. So in a stir fry, I'll put like 3 of these or even 4. And so you can regulate the heat level really well, which I like this a lot. Being able to really regulate the heat well while also having a good flavor. The fish pepper's got a great flavor, but you gotta wait until they turn red. Now here's another one that I'll be growing. These are the Thai bird chilies, okay? Also called Thai dynamite chilies. Now, these are super good, very hot, very fiery. But again, I like them because one, you can pickle them real easy like this. Let me know in the comments if you want to see the recipe for this. I could make a short video, but I keep them like this all winter long, and you can just pull them out. And I use between 6 and 8 of them for a stir fry. And so you can really regulate the heat a lot. If you don't like that much spice, just the flavor, just 2 or 3 of them is enough. Another one I'll definitely be growing again is the shishito peppers, guys. These, the plant is producing dozens of these things. They're very, very thin skin, and I like to just pick them and fry them in the wok. I do a lot of stir fries, so I'll just fry this thing in the wok until it blisters, pull it out, sprinkle just a dash of sea salt on it, and eat it like that. These things I will definitely be growing again because there's no spice really. There's just flavor. About 1 in every 10 has a medium level of spice, but other than that, the rest have 0 spice whatsoever. Okay guys, now here is one that I've been making paprika out of this year. It's I forget the name of it, Lutenschauer. It's from Baker Creek Seeds. It's a Hungarian paprika. Now, the thing about these is that they are way spicier than I thought that they were gonna be. So I don't like paprika that's super spicy. I like to, because I smoke all the paprika, and so I like to have the smoke flavored and the flavor, and if I want spice, I'll add that in later. I don't like the paprika itself to be so spicy, so I probably won't grow these again. But one I will definitely grow again because it makes the absolute best smoked paprika that there is. That is called the Ivarsky pepper, AJV Ivarsky pepper, and oh my goodness, the flesh holds on to the flavor of the smoke so well, and it tastes like butter. There's that buttery depth to it. Anything that you add this paprika to, you know, I powder it. Watch my tutorial on that. I powder it, and then I will use it for cooking. And the Ivarsky, I've done it with poblanos, I've done it with Hungarian wax peppers, Hungarian hot wax peppers. I've done so many different varieties of peppers making paprika, smoked paprika, and by far the Ivarsky is the best. Okay, another thing I'll be growing is the pink oysters in the buckets, guys. These things are super easy to grow, so look for a tutorial that's coming this fall, you know, it's not too far away. It's actually, I found a different way than making them last year or 2 years ago. This is so easy. It doesn't require boiling or anything. So let me know if you want to see the video on that. These things are delicious. These pink oyster mushrooms, these buckets are just pumping them out. So you can get those spores from, there's a link in the description to the North Spore company. Use the code Garden Viking or whatever is in the description so that we get a little kickback from that and you can get the right kind of spores. But you want to be growing the mushrooms this winter. Now, one pepper I will never grow again whatsoever is this thing. It's called a nada pino or a jalapeno. It's a heatless jalapeno. I know, I thought that there was going to be a lot of flavor to it, jalapeno flavor without such the blazing spice, but there is 0 flavor whatsoever. It's just like the name sounds, nada pino. There's nothing, there's no flavor. But as, of course, because it's a hybrid, it's the most vigorous of all the pepper plants. Each branch is just loaded with a dozen of these things, but they are disgusting, okay? They're not disgusting, they're just nothing. They're flavorless. There's nothing. I'll never grow them again. Guys, the Velvet Queen Sunflower, these things are beautiful. They've been pumping these out for like a month and a half, 2 months now, and they are gorgeous, okay? They only get about 5-6 feet tall, but each plant has about 20 or 30 of these things, and you can cut them and they last for a long time. I really like these sunflowers. Now we're gonna get into the garlic, guys. One garlic I'm never growing again is elephant garlic. I'm just tired of it. It actually doesn't taste good at all. It actually tastes the opposite of good. So it's really big and it's kind of like a novelty, but it doesn't have the flavor I'm after. It has like a nasty kind of grassy sort of onion flavor that I'm just not into. So I'm never growing elephant garlic again. Okay, so here are some garlic reviews, guys. Now I'm just gonna, in no particular order, okay? The Bogatir, now it was kind of uneventful. it was garlic, yes, I mean, but it was not like super flavorful or unflavorful. Now I'm gonna say the same thing about the Korean red. It was just kind of, you know, and we're eating these raw, okay? That's how we test garlic. So the Korean red was pretty good. It was had a different kind of sweetness to it that the others didn't have. So it's pretty good, but I don't see myself really planting that again. One I will definitely be planting again is the Leningrad. Nice big hearty bulbs and a very garlicky flavor, but without the real spicy burn. So there's not a lot of burn to that one. So the Leningrad, and it's nice and big, and it has really good flavorful scapes. Another one is the German white. I will put that right on the same par as the Leningrad, as far as it is mild, and they got nice good sized cloves like this, or bulbs, and it's a mild one, very garlicky flavored, but not super spicy. All right. Okay, now here's one, Asian Tempest. Now I would definitely plant this one again. This one is very spicy. I like the spice in this one, kind of that hearty, peppery sort of garlic flavor, but sort of small cloves. I like big cloves that are easy to peel. So, you know, that's why things like, okay, here's the Killarney. Yes, we're not going to be growing that one again, the Killarney, because it was just sort of uneventful. I mean, yeah, it's garlic, but you can't really, the Bogatyr and the Korean red and all of that, and the Killarney, they're just kind of, yeah, I mean, they're good, but they're not like blow your socks off by any means. But the German white and the Leningrad are the two that I will highly recommend. Now, the Italy Hill was also a very good one, but the company sort of went out of business, and so you're not going to be finding that one anymore. So a great substitute is the German white or the Leningrad. Honey nut squash, guys. Instead of the butternut squash, they have bred these honey nut squash, which are a much smaller version of the butternut, and also a cousin of the Tahitian melon squash, of course. But what I like about these is that, one, they're very sweet. Every bit as sweet as any other squash I've tried. But it's easy to just cut it in half and roast it. So it's good for a dinner. You know, they're individual portions, and each plant will produce, 20 of these. And they will store 3 to 4 months, no problem. But if you want one that stores all winter long, you'll want the Tahitian melon squash, which we actually didn't grow any of this year. We took a break this year from growing those. Now, of course, one thing we're growing every year is the perennial onion, the Valhalla rowing onions, which, guys, thank you to everyone that has got the orders. The orders are pretty much trickling out as far as we've stopped new orders. We're still shipping out the remainder of the orders, but the orders were sold out for this year. So if you would like to get these on the list for next year, in March, we'll be doing pre-orders for some of these. But once you have them, once you plant them once, that's it. You never have to worry about planting them again. Okay, guys, as far as tomatoes, the Cherokee Purple, yes, this is a small one, but we're like 2 weeks away from frost, or 1 week away from frost. And given the dreadful drought we had this summer, I'm amazed that these are even doing anything. But now that the rain has came back, they've rehydrated and they're producing boatloads of tomatoes. So Cherokee Purple is my favorite slicer, and the Purple Bumblebee is my favorite of the grapes, and it still remains the same. I got them outside, and you see we ferment them here. They're nice and succulent. They're tangy. They're sort of effervescent. Watch my video on how to ferment these things. Very delicious. Highly recommend them. One that I'll not be growing again is the Berkeley tie-dye. It's okay. It's got a decent flavor, but the Carbon. There's one called Carbon. I won't be growing that one again. It's just not really outstanding flavor to me. One thing I'm definitely growing, guys, is going to be the Thai basil. Very good for Thai stir fries, for pork, Thai stir-fried pork, spicy pork. And also this one took me by surprise, lime basil. Guys, it smells like Fruit Loops, like Skittles. I mean, it's intoxicating. The aroma, I have it right by the front porch, so that when you walk up, it brushes against you. And immediately it releases this intoxicating fruitiness that is unbelievable. I'm going to be growing a bunch of this stuff next year. It makes a delicious tea. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about potatoes here, okay? So here is a little portion of the potato harvest. I like using these bags because it allows them to breathe over the winter. You can just hang the bags. It works really good. Now, here is one I will not be growing again, and this is the Viking Purple, okay? I know, despite the name, we're not going to be growing these again. I just personally don't really like the purple potatoes. The flavor is normal, like a normal potato, but there isn't like Like I said, the eyes like to eat as well. And I don't see the purpleness on the plate, just kind of looks out of place to me. It's really strange. So I could get down with it, but I don't see myself really growing those again, just because the flavor really isn't there. Now, these are the banana fingerlings, and I would grow these again. They're pretty good. Yes, definitely. I like the flavor. I like the density. They got like a yellowness to them. So these fingerling potatoes are like gourmet. I mean, they're very good. You don't peel these kind of potatoes. The skin is super thin on these. So yes, I would grow that one again. It's not like my all-time favorite. This is one of my favorites though, and this is the French fingerling. These French fingerling potatoes, even though they have a red skin, they have deep yellow flesh, and they are so delicious, guys. I would highly recommend growing these. And we'll see how they store. They're supposed to store, all winter long, but we will see. Now, another one, the tried and true, I love it, is the Yukon Gold. Now, the Yukon Gold is important because it matures so quickly. These fingerling potatoes are late season potatoes. They take like 100, 120 days, whereas the Yukon Gold takes like 70 days. I mean, it's to maturity. You can almost get 2 runs of that in the time it takes you to get 1 run of some of these other tomatoes. Or potatoes. But here is the one that reigns supreme this year, guys. This is the Austrian crescent potato. I've got them still in the ground out there, and they are ready to be harvested. Now, these have a flavor that is unlike any other one that I have tried. So I will definitely be growing more of these next year. These Austrian crescents are super delicious. I mean, the flavor is without parallel. I mean, we seared them on the griddle, and the flavor is almost like burnt marshmallow. I mean, it's super delicious. So there you go, guys. I hope you gained something from the video. Remember, share your experience with certain strains or whatever in the comments. What are you not growing again? And then what will you grow again next year? Let us all know. Channel memberships. I have activated channel memberships because YouTube's really pushing. You got to get members. You got to get members. So I set it at $2.99 a month. I would appreciate everybody becoming a member. Yes, there will be some perks, but the main thing is that I just want to satisfy our YouTube overlords so that we can grow the channel. Yes. So if you would, please consider becoming a member. Thank you. And I will see you guys every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time and right here for the live Q&A.